DEW Time with Pastor Steph.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine. You're on with this DEW Time with Pastor Steph. How are you this morning? That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. For this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So, where were you yesterday? Yesterday we were shaking the Monday morning blues with the DEW Time crew, and we had some relationship dilemmas. Now, I always say these things are just like 1, 2, 3 for me. I don't know why they were dilemmas for others, but we had the woman who was asking about her boyfriend, her ex-boyfriend, who was asking for his $25,000 back. Yep, they had lived together for this 7-year relationship, and he was paying rent, and then he started paying mortgage, and then he started paying the bills. And yes, they were living together, by the way. And he wanted to know, when they broke up, could he have his $25,000 back that he had invested during the time that they were living together? Well, the DEW Time crew said, absolutely not. How you want so you live there? You would have had to pay rent anywhere you lived. So go ahead about your business. All right. Then you had the other girlfriend who wrote in because her boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, had an ex that he really was not involved with for quite a while. They really didn't talk. And then one day the ex-girlfriend asked for $500 and he gave it to her. And when the new girlfriend asked about it, he got upset. He said, yo, it's my money. You know, I pay my bills. I'm paying my portion. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. What's going on? And the DEW Time crew weighed in. And some said that, hey, you know, it's his money. Don't ask about his money. Let him pay his expenses that you share, and whatever he does with his money is what he does with his money. Well, I had a little bit more to say. My thing was, I ain't care nothing about the $500, not the money aspect, but I did care and I was concerned about the involvement. Now that we have involved ourselves with lending money to an ex, what does that mean for your continued conversations that you didn't have at one point, that you felt you didn't want at one point? So how we got to this lending in the first place? Now I'm asking about, now that you didn't loan this $500, what does that mean for future issues? Is this going to manifest itself into something much greater than $500? Because that's my concern. And as a counselor, that's what I would be concerned about. The $500 and where it came from and who shot John, and he took it from an inheritance of $1.5 million. I don't care. My concern was, have you opened up a door for future problems? We got to ask ourselves these questions at times. Well, my favorite dilemma was the girlfriend who now has the ex. She went to spend the night over at the boyfriend's house, and he had his dirty mattress on the bed as always, and she always changed the sheets. It's no big deal. I know the mattress is dirty. I'm just going to change the sheets. Well, today he refused to allow her to change them nasty nasty sheets that was on the bed. She said that the mattress that was on the bed was a fitted sheet. Oh, well, not the mattress on the bed. The sheet that was on the bed was a fitted sheet that had big old holes in it. You could see the dirty mattress through the big old hole. The fitted sheet wasn't even spread on the bed all the way. He refused to let her change the sheet. He told her it was fine. When she said, all right, then give me a sheet or a blanket so I can sleep on the couch, he threw her a dirty mattress cover and said, have at it. And she said, well, I'm going home. Well, as I said, these are really not dilemmas to me. All easily remedied. First of all, you're playing house. So guess what? You're going to get what you get. It's bad enough you get some of this stuff with a marital issue, but we can't, expect to get much more from people who are only partially committed. Oh, yep. I said it, partially committed. So let's get ourselves together and make it happen. All righty. Well, I'll switch tip. Stop acting desperate. Well, that's what happened here. You're desperate. You're going to go live up with these people. And now you end up with dilemmas. Because in my opinion, they were not dilemmas. Get out. Plain and simple as that. But because we've already committed ourselves, because we're desperate, because we have not taken the counsel of God or of God's people, now we're running up into some things. And you know what? Whether you realize it or not, you're acting desperate. Stop doing these things. Stop getting yourself involved in these things. Because when you do these things, yes, you're acting desperate. You can act desperate in so many ways, shapes, forms, and fashions. And Shantice gave us very practical information and advice yesterday in her switch tip. It's a very practical switch tip. Everybody can identify with it. You just need to know how you fit into that. How does that fit into you? So stop acting desperate, please. Seek God in everything you do. The Bible says, be anxious for nothing. And just go to God. All right? All right. Well, that's how we spent our Monday. Well, today is a Let's Talk About It Tuesday, Church Folk Day, and we got some stuff to talk about. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to go get that healthy breakfast. I'm going to give you an opportunity to go tell somebody that it's due time with Pastor Steph on. And whatever you do, don't go anywhere because we will be right.
Sure you've heard the news. But have you heard about the genius who transformed firefighting? Let's dive into the story of Joseph Winters. Born in 1816, Joseph Winters was a trailblazing inventor whose passion was saving lives. While others focused on wagon-mounted ladders, Winters went further. He added a sizer lift, making it easier for firemen to battle blazes without the hassle of unloading ladders. This simple yet ingenious addition revolutionized firefighting, but Winters didn't stop there. In 1878, he patented a ladder with parallel steps, cementing his legacy as a pioneer in fire safety. His innovations meant quicker, safer responses to fires, ultimately saving countless lives. Fast forward to 2005, and Winters' contributions were honored with a historic marker in Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. The Junior House and Truck Company No. 2 proudly displays it as a tribute to his life-saving inventions. So next time you see a fire escape ladder, remember Joseph Winters, the man who made it all possible, a true hero whose legacy continues to protect us today.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome back to It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. And it's Let's Talk About It Tuesday, Church Folk Day. Well, before we go any further, we got some technical problems today. I look a little wacky. My head is like here and then it's not there. My hands are here and then it's not there. Listen, just roll with the punches today because we got a whole lot to talk about. So it's about your hearing today, not about your viewing. All right. Now, if you're in the room, you know what we do. Pastor Steph don't know you're here unless you say good morning. And I love saying good morning. Hey there, Terrence. Good morning. And thank you so much for joining us. Hey, Katie girl. Good morning. I asked you for some information this morning. What you doing? Sleeping? Did you log in and go to bed? Okay. All right. That's all right. All right. I'll let you pass this time. All right. Hey there, Miss Charlene. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank God you're in the room and you're feeling well. All righty. We got our boy Serge up in the room. Hey, Serge. Thank you so much for joining us. Sherry, good morning. It's always good to see you. Hey there, V. How you doing, girl? Thank you so much for joining us. Everybody knows V. Vivian, the correspondent from Wednesday mornings from Socially Conscious. Yeah, but we can't go any further without saying good morning to the ladies who make it happen for us on YouTube Live and on Facebook Live. Let's say good morning to our girls, Shantice. Hey, Shantice. And our girl, Anika. Good morning, Anika. Yo, Anika checks in with us every morning to make sure we're doing all right before she goes to work. What kind of dedication is that? Thank you so much. We love you. We couldn't do it without you ladies doing it so well in the background. You know how we get our Tuesday mornings started. We always got some crazy trivia or information or a crazy list. You know how we do. Well, listen, this morning, got something a little different. Now, they have this list that they have compiled of things that seem safe, but in actuality is quite dangerous. Now, you know how we get down on Tuesday mornings. If you can think of anything that appeared safe to you, but at the end of the day, it was, girl, you know you should have done that. Or boy, get it together. Make sure you put it up in this chat room so we can get this chat room going. All right. What's the first thing that comes up? We got an occupational therapist in here who says slicing a frozen bagel or some other food that needs to go in the toaster, air fryer, whatever, is quite common. And in 25 years, I can't tell you how many patients I've seen with tendon injuries, which required surgery because you just didn't cut that bagel right. Now, you know, you cut the bagel. Here's your bagel and you're cutting it this way. Yeah, that's what she's talking about. Or he's talking about. I don't know. But be careful how you cut the bagel. Put your hand on the top and slice across. That way, you ain't got no problems. All right? All righty. A woman says, my husband and I were truckers for 13 years, traveling across the country, and I was appalled at how drivers of passenger vehicles constantly ignored traffic laws and endangered everyone's lives. Vehicles would pull out in front of us and then quickly make a turn, causing us to stand on the truck's brakes so we wouldn't hit that vehicle. Do people know big trucks carry around 200 gallons of diesel fuel on board? Diesel is one of the most flammable fuels on earth. If a big truck hits you and a fire breaks out, you're dead, along with the truck driver and any other vehicles that get involved. Yo, how many times you've been on the road and these people jump in front of trucks? They say there's a blind spot for truckers. They can't see you. I don't care what your car is, even in an SUV. They cannot see you. So be very careful. All righty. They say give trucks space. Don't ride next to the end of the trailer or be too close behind trucks as we can't see you. See, I told you, don't pull up or pass the white line at stoplights and signs. You know, I'm going to tell you something. My daughter just got into a bad accident with a truck driver. They were at a stop sign. Yeah. And when he went to pull off, car went bye-bye. So thank God that she and my granddaughter were safe. But yo, this is what this woman is talking about. All righty. They say, don't ignore one doctor telling you to see a specialist, especially if you're up in years. You need someone who will know the specifics. When you don't need them anymore, they will tell you. Wow. That's a nice piece of advice, because people get, upset when doctors send you to a specialist. Yo, they know when they reach their limit. Make sure you go see their specialist. All righty. Not replacing the batteries or not having smoke detectors and carbon monoxide alarms working in the home. Yo, dangerous. I can't stand to hear somebody I'm talking to. Check that battery. What you doing? Make sure you get the batteries changed. They say when we change for daylight savings time, they say change your batteries in those in that not carbon monoxide, smoke detector, because the carbon monoxide lasts 7 years. Yes. All right. Woo! Cooking in pajamas, robes, or sleepwear. This is a bit outdated as safety standards have changed, but many old robes and pajamas are not flame resistant like polyester, they say. Read the labels, double check the products you're buying, and use extreme caution when you are cooking. I'll never forget the incinerated woman I had on my gurney because she cooked over the stove in her robe and went up in flames in an instant. Also, stop cooking with the flame all the way up, y'all. I keep telling you, we're going to be rolling you over. We're going to be rolling you over. And listen, Pastor Steph don't move that fast. So if I got to be the one that roll you over, boy, you in trouble. You are in trouble. I promise you. All right. They say cleaning anything with flammable liquids, especially indoors. Pilot lights and open flames are everywhere. 1 cup of gasoline generates energy equivalent to 14 sticks of dynamite. Wow. Listen, we're talking this morning about things that appear safe, but in actuality, it is quite dangerous. If you know of something, make sure you put it in the chat room. We all can use your words of wisdom and advice. All right. They say if your car overheats, do not pop the hood and remove the radiator cap. Ooh, how many of you have done that? As a burn nurse, I've seen countless people with scald burns from this, often requiring weeks of in-hospital care. Wow, wow, wow. Never heard that one before. Nurse here, four-wheelers and quads. Almost every young paraplegic or quadriplegic I have taken care of received their life-altering injuries due to a quad accident. Not motorcycles, not cars, four-wheelers. Wow. Pulling the car over to the side of the interstate to change drivers. Yo, do people really do this? Really? Go to the rest stop. Get off at the next exit and just go around. Make that U-turn. Yeah, there's always a spot you can pull over. Oh my goodness gracious. Not educating and advocating for yourself when it comes to your medications. Ask about drug interactions. Ask about side effects. Ask about long-term repercussions, especially when visiting an ER or walk-in. Sometimes immediate care just patches problems. Always advocate for yourself. That's a good point. Nice point. Nice point. Nice point. Biting or picking your nails. Oh my goodness. You could get a serious infection. I stopped before I could get there, but I remember at one point my whole nail was halfway gone, red and swollen. A friend I know had to go to the ER from nail biting. They say there's so many germs in your mouth. So when you biting your nails, ooh, and she gave up a nasty infected finger as a picture. Yuck. Oh, let's see. Low head dams, also known as drowning machines. They are the little dams you see across rivers that folks often swim or kayak near. They can be hard to see from upstream and are extremely difficult to escape. Even professional rescuers have been known to unfortunately get caught up and drown in them. Wow. Running, walking, exercising in public alone and with both AirPods in and blaring. I walk daily and can't think of a better way to end up hit by a car or dragged into the bushes. As a construction worker for 2 decades, it's the lack of situational awareness for me. Some of you are like this. I have to have music blaring to get my workout. So too will your family have to make arrangements for you when you don't hear the danger coming for you. Keep your head on a swivel, as they say in the industry. Wow. Somebody say, going up to wild animals. We know what side of the fence that is because we ain't doing it. We don't like dogs half the time. I live next to the Smoky Mountains and I see people walking up to bears or trying to feed them. Yep, they're not the same bears as the Rocky Mountains, but they'll rip you to shreds. Leave the wildlife alone. Who does that? I don't, like I said, we don't like dogs half the time. And those are coming from the people that say, they don't bite. We don't care. You got teeth, you bite. We ain't trying it. All right. My dad's best friend is an orthopedic surgeon. He says it's amazing how completely common catastrophic injuries occur because somebody used a lawnmower so improperly. Wow. They say never ride a bicycle without a helmet. I used to do it all the time until I started working in the ER. I've seen skull fractures and brain injuries from people not wearing a helmet while on the bike trail and hitting something as small as a rock. I've pestered my entire family about this as well. You don't look cool when you don't wear a helmet. The risk of permanent injury or death is just not worth it. Wow. Bike helmets. If you get into a crash and you and the helmet are unharmed, get rid of the helmet. They are normally one-time use. Once they have made an impact, they are weakened and can fall apart on the next crash. Even if it looks fine, definitely not going to protect you in the second go round. Wow. Wow. That's crazy. Wow. Well, listen, we want to thank all these people who contributed to this list of I thought it was fine, but it's not list. And take those pieces of advice. Just might save your life. All righty. We got some news. What we talking about today? Let's see. Well, we got the Diddy story that I have left alone for a while because it just kept adding up and adding up and adding up and adding up. We got to check in from our girl, Teresa. Hey, Teresa. Thank you for checking in. But I had to go back to the Diddy story because I kind of like this piece of information. I'm not a Diddy fan, so that has nothing to do with me and how I feel about the situation. But I do feel that there's some fairness here. So to the Diddy accusers, so remember they had like this tons and tons and tons of people on this list that were accusing him of all of these things, whether it was sexual or threatening them, or pouring something in their drink, or whatever situation was. Well, all of them were filing as John and Jane Doers. And at one point, his lawyers petitioned the court, for someone, and said, hey, make them say who they are, because he has a right to see who's accusing him and to hear what's, who they are. And, this anonymous thing is not fair. Well, there's a whole lot of other people that joined this bandwagon with this Jane and John Doe. Well, the judge has spoken. Either you put your name up, or you can say goodbye to your accusation. They are making claims that, he poses a threat, because there have been accounts, as they say, where people have gone up against him, or they posed a threat and he got rid of the threat. He threatened the threat. He tried to get rid of the threat. So now these people are afraid to come forward and say, my name is, Mary Jo, and be safe afterwards. Well, the judge says, no, we're sorry. We are opposing this Jane and John Doe status. This is something that Mr. Combs has every bit of right to know who his accusers are. Now, here's an interesting thing that they did add. Now, the names don't have to be public. Now, that was a difference earlier. Now, there's a little thing that they've put in where his attorneys and he can know who these people are, but they can file for their name not to be made public. So when it goes to trial, and if they don't have to be, if they don't have to be put on the stand, then they don't have to name the names publicly. But still, in the back on the paperwork, their names are there. But this whole anonymity where your names are not there at all, and he doesn't know who is accusing him, they're like, no way. They have up to 55 lawsuits against him where they don't have names. And the judge is like, no. And I have to tell you, I agree. I mean, you may not agree with me, and I'm all right with that, but he has a right. Listen, here's the thing. They have said that there are people whose names have come up. So somebody would say, John, James was there. It happened to them. And they go to John James, and John James is like, listen, I don't want to be, I'm not even going to put up a claim. I don't want to have my name out there. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. And you have every right to do that. They said that they have people who they have confronted whose names have come up, and they're like, no, thank you. So you have every ability to say, you know what, I'm not bothering. He's not a part of my life that big. Yes, I done went through this thing, but I'm going to leave it alone. And if that's what you choose to do, that's what you choose to do. But you can't look to pursue this thing. And now, how is he going to prove whether he's innocent or guilty? And I don't know who's accusing me. How can I say if I don't know who you are? So, you know what? Listen, if you want to pursue justice, ask for witness protection. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what else to tell you, or try to relocate or whatever. Listen, Diddy's going to jail, period. Whether he going for 99 people or whether he going for 9 people. Diddy is not walking. You see where R. Kelly is? He's going to be sitting right next to him because they are not, whether they have names or whether they don't have names, the 5 names that they have, they smashing him. He ain't going no war. He's done. He is done. He is done. He is done. So, if he's posing a threat from prison after he's been convicted and he's going to be sentenced, then relocate, because they're going after his money next. Oh, trust me. Oh, they're going after his money. He ain't going to have them $5 he got now. So, in all fairness, let the man know who his accusers are so that they can prepare a proper defense. Now, if he's guilty, he's guilty. I'm not saying he's innocent. But what I am saying is you can't accuse somebody of something and I'm trying to defend myself and I don't even know whether you from New York, whether you from Timbuktu, whether you from the moon, if you really exist. Because come on, they have found people. There have been people, and we know this. There have been people who have put claims in and they had to drop the stuff because there wasn't enough evidence. There have been people who have stepped up to the plate, who have said, I want to pursue this. And then after a while, for whatever the reason is, they've dropped it. I'm not only talking about in a Diddy case. I'm talking about period. Everybody who starts a case does not always continue the case. So you can't really expect this man to be able to properly defend himself. Good, bad, right, wrong, indifferent. Like I said, I ain't no Diddy fan. It don't matter to me whether he's innocent or guilty. But it does matter to me his rights. And you cannot put this man in the hot seat and then not have these people put their names up. Now, again, making it public is an entirely different issue. They have made it available to these people. If you do not want your name publicized, that's one thing. But they have made sure to let them know, oh, you done. When it comes to you being a Jane Doe, John Doe, you are done. You have to give your name. So we don't care what your name is. You're going to have to give your name or either say bye-bye. All right. I'm coming back to those comments when we talk to the Due Time crew. And we'll be able to elaborate. All righty. All righty. Oh, this is an interesting one I came across last night. Let's see who we checking in before I get started. Okay, we got a check-in from Sir Curtis. And I will say happy birthday to you. Now that you're on, I might as well say good morning and happy birthday. Thank you so much for joining us today. All right. For those who live in Florida, there's some stuff going on. Now, listen, didn't we say there was going to be some backlash to all this deportation? Well, here's how we had no idea it was going to affect different areas. So now, I don't know how many of you know this as a person who spent almost 20 years in HR. I do know they have child labor laws. If you are a certain age, you can't work a certain amount of hours a week. You cannot work early in the morning. You cannot work late at night. There are just laws that protect our children, and they're concerned about them going to school, them getting a proper amount of rest, them being treated as adults. They have to have different types of breaks for us, and that's the law. Every state has its own law. Well, Florida has now had, as far as they're concerned, they've had to adjust their child labor laws. So they got some new labor laws. Now, here's the thing. If you're 16 and 17 years old, you are now allowed to work more than 8 hours a day and over 30 hours a week without breaks. Whoa. Listen, they don't even have that for adults. after a certain amount of hours, you must get a break. Well, in Florida right now, they have canceled that out even for the children. Now, for the 14 and 15 years old, they said there will be no work restrictions for the 14 and 15-year-olds. Okay. Now, can I tell you why? They have to make up now for all the deported individuals who are no longer here to work. So now that you don't have Miguel and Jesus cutting your grass and cleaning your pool and all of this stuff, now the kids are going to be put in their place. And because they are so short of the illegal immigrants that have been working, they now have cut the child labor laws and are now putting those children out there to work. Now, they are in a really interesting crossroad because they are going back to why the child labor laws were put into place in the first place. So now you've got 16 and 17-year-olds who can work as early as 6 o'clock in the morning, who can work late at night, who can work 8 hours a day or more, and who can do 30 hours or more a week. 30 hours or more a week are not for people who go to school. So when are you going to have time to do your studies? When are you going to have time to do homework? And so now they've got all of this sitting in the laps of kids because of the deportation. Well, guess what? They can do better than this. They can do much better than this. You do not have to put this into the laps of the children. So I guess they figure, well, who else we going to make happen? Because you got all these other people who don't. Well, listen, here's my thing. I don't know if you remember, but at one point they were hiring in certain states. They were paying for teachers, especially male Black teachers, to come to their state to work because they were short of not only teachers, but they wanted male Black teachers because they wanted the role models. So they were literally paying, certain states were paying for people to come into their state and work. They didn't have to find their way there. That was part of the package, that they would help with relocation expenses. They would pay their relocation expenses, and they would get them housing, and they would foot this bill for them up to a certain time, and then after that, once they got the job or whatever, they were now on their own. Well, you could do the same thing. There would be people that wouldn't mind relocating to Florida. Yeah. They just can't get there. They just can't pay to move all of their things there. But there are people who are not child age who would go there to work. So here's the other thing though, the low wages. Yes, that was the other thing that they are going after. They say that now they can pay those low wages to the children. So, man, I'm telling you, to correct these things that's going on in this world, they are talking and touching everything. Remember this past weekend was hands off. Now, I'm curious as to how many people participated, and this is what they're talking about. Now they're mad because their kids now can work. Now here's the problem. I don't even know if they have to have working papers anymore. Because here, at least here in New York, and many other states, we had to make sure that they had working papers. At the age of 14, you can get working papers. But again, it still comes with restrictions. Now, you talk about the fact that they have removed all restrictions from 14 and 15-year-olds. You may not even need working papers anymore because they don't say anything about this. So here's what they say. Minors age 16 and 17 can now work before 6:30 a.m. and after 11 p.m. on school nights. Yo. Can you imagine the amount of fights these parents are going to have? Additionally, teens can now work more than 8 hours in a day or 30 hours a week, even when school is in session, unless, of course, a parent or school superintendent says otherwise. The law even loosens restrictions on younger teens, 14 or 15, allowing them to work under certain conditions if they've graduated high school or enrolled in virtual program. First of all, what 14 or 15 years old graduating high school? We ain't got that many brainiacs. Stop. You didn't set it up for these kids up for failure. Like I said, listen, there are some people who are really not educated and they wouldn't mind relocating. So get them, put it out there and see how many people bite. Yeah, man, it's getting nasty. All righty. All right. Last but not least, my stories for today. Somebody tell me if I've talked about this, because how many days I flipped this story when I missed it one day, I put it into the next day, and then I looked yesterday and I was like, I still didn't do this story. So if I did, forgive me. If I didn't, honey. So now here in New York City, there is a doctor who lives in Astoria, operating out of his home or somewhere near his home in Astoria, who has told everybody that he used to be a doctor in Colombia. Well, this Felipe Hoyos Foronda, he has been operating as a doctor, telling people that he has his credentials from Colombia. Well, some 31, I believe she's 31 years old woman went to him to get her BBL removed. Pay attention. Removed. Whatever happened, she didn't want it anymore. Removed. He gave her some type of anesthetic, and it had a lidocaine toxicity. She is now brain dead, not expected to live. And he took off and got on a plane to Florida. He was getting on a plane, going to Florida to get a connecting flight to Colombia. What happened was, when her cousin came to pick her up from the from this doctor, from this procedure, someone told her that the cousin had to be taken to the hospital, that the surgery had gone wrong. And somehow or another, when she called the cops, they got to the landlord, and the landlord gave them a picture of him. And of course, they checked all of these, travel sites. You know what I'm saying? First of all, he's fleeing. He's fleeing. And what are you going to do? If he's telling people that he comes from Colombia, where's he headed? Stupid. To Colombia. And that's exactly where they found him. On the way to Colombia, he was just pretty much boarded, they say. One of the accounts say he had already boarded this plane to Florida to go to Colombia, and he's being held in jail at the time with no bail, no bond, no nothing. And we'll see. He has a court appearance on April 28th. People. listen, maybe because I've just been under the knife 150 times. It's certain things that you just gotta pick up on. Let's talk about Tuesday, y'all. Stop walking up in these places. First of all, here's the problem. When you don't go through your health insurance, you're already in trouble. Why? Because where are the credentials coming from? When you go through a health, when you go through your health insurance, you're already taking a gamble, okay? Because everybody on that health list ain't guaranteed to be okay. Okay. However, they do have to go through some, things before they can get on this list. So you want to hurry up and get this stuff done. Now, clearly, you went for the BBL that somebody botched because you wanted it taken out. You couldn't even get that done. When they showed pictures of this office, yo, my 10-year-old granddaughter could have put something together better than that. Yes. It was so, it was bad. It just looked like something that was a makeshift place. What do you look like? What does your office look like when I walk up in there that I'm gonna be so confident that I'm gonna lay up on the bed, get undressed, let you put the thing on my arm, put an IV in my arm. Yo, pay attention, because every single time they talk about these fake doctors, they have fake looking offices. I've never seen pictures of anybody who has gone to these people and had a botched surgery, and the place didn't look fake. Either they in a storefront thing that was somebody's old garage, or they got one drawer with some a few little gauze and bandages and some tape. They got one little pole. Yo, you don't pay attention. You can't be that desperate. Well, look at 31 years old. 31 years old. And she's done. She's been brain dead. I don't know to this day, because I did this story. I found the story like a week or so ago. I don't know if now they've pulled the plug on her or whatever situation was, but they were saying from the beginning that she was brain dead, and they didn't think she was gonna make it. So please stop all this vanity. You got to go get a BBL. That's vanity. Be okay with what God. And they got enough padded clothes and little stuff that you can put underneath your clothes to make you look like you got a nice little ba-dump back there. You could buy your stuff. You put some tissue in your bra. I don't know what to tell you, but it's better than going under some fake knife. And I'm going to tell you something. I know these people have mastered looking professional. But again, for me, if you talk to these people long enough, you can pretty much tell when they don't know what they're talking about. When I've read stories, I've even done a video where they were taking and they were putting like cement in people's behinds, and they were putting super glue to close holes, and when the people were complaining and screaming in pain, they were telling them to shut up. Y'all don't pay attention enough. So please, where's my due time crew? Who's up in the room with me? Before we, while Shantice gives me my due time crew, we got to check in from Deacon Diallo. Good morning, Deacon Diallo. Thank you so much for joining us. We got quite a few comments. We got quite a few comments up in here. So when we get to this, these stories, we are going to definitely read some of these comments. Hey, Pastor Vinny.
Good morning, Pastor Steph.
How are you?
I'm doing good today. Doing good.
Wow.
Amen.
We're missing Mrs. So please give her a love.
I sure will, Pastor Brenda. She had some early calls, But if she's able to slip away, she will do so.
All righty. Thank you so much. Thank you
Amen.
so much. So, Pastor Vinny, we're
Yes.
starting this morning with did he do it? So, he's got all of these accusers, and quite a few of them have said that they are concerned about their safety because he has been accused before of threatening the lives of people, beating up people, attempting murder on people who have gone up against him before. So now they're claiming all of these things have happened at his hands, but they refuse to give their names, and they have been allowed to put in their papers under Jane and John Doe. Well, quite some time ago, one of the judge vetoed one of the individuals because Diddy's lawyer made the claim and the petition that he should be able to see who his accuser is. So the judge pushed it through. But since then, many, many, many more have come. Now, there have been up to 55 claims where people have put in their papers under John and Jane Doe. Well, the judge has said, there's an end to that. Either you put your name, you refile with your name, or either withdrawing the case out. Now, they also put in a clause that said that you don't have to go public with your name. So in other words, yeah, you do have to refile, put your name on the petition, and Diddy and his lawyers will know your name. However, when it goes public and goes to court, they don't necessarily have to say your name, I guess, unless you have to show up on the, stand or whatever. So they did manage to put a clause in like that. Do you feel that Diddy should have an opportunity to see who his accusers are, or should these people be able to file under Jane and John Doe?
Well, as soon as people found out, hey, this could be my payday. This could be my payday. He doesn't have to know me. They already know he's guilty. So let me just get on the bandwagon. So no, that's not fair to him. It wouldn't be fair to you or I if we had a situation,
right,
and we're trying to figure out where all these accusations are coming from. Look, we have a right to be protected as well. So that I understand. Right. That I understand. But if you're just trying to make a payday for yourself, you better go on the McDonald's line or something. Don't stop. Stop the madness, because Diddy he's dangerous. He's also, he's at his wit's end. He's trying to end all of these accusations. So he's not about to put up with somebody else trying to join and make false accusations. If you want to make accusations, stand up. Stand up, tell your story, and then let the judge hear it. But all of this hiding and secrecy, cloaked in danger and all that, no, get rid of that. Do the right thing.
And I agree with you. Like I said earlier, Pastor Vinny, there have been people who have withdrawn. And that's period, not just with the Diddy case, but period. They've put in claims and then they've pulled them out later because A, there wasn't enough, or B, they had to now provide some new stuff that they weren't ready or could provide. There have been cases that have been thrown out because they didn't have enough information and things like that. So you're right. If you and I were being put up in the hot seat, we'd want to know who's talking about these things. And they have found that there are people who just will do this was a payday for them. And that's what Serge says. Serge says, yeah. Where's my paper? Yeah. I gotta go back. He says, yeah, you can jump in on the bandwagon, even though they never met him. Yes, and it's very true, Serge. Terrence says, I agree. Their names should be shown. Excuse me. Some people can be lying just to get the money. We've got to check in from our boy AJ. Hey, AJ, thank you so much for joining us. Shati says, does he even remember all the women he's assaulted? Now, Terrence says, and this can work out in his favor as well if they catch people lying, because it might be people he did it to, but no evidence, so it'll be thrown out. Possibly. So, it's really, really it's hard. It's hard. Let's talk about really quickly this child labor law out in Florida, where you are, Pastor Vinny, where they have taken almost everything off the table, because now they need to fill in the gaps from all the deportees that are no longer in the state of Florida to do the work that these people used to do. And now they are allowing these children to work before 6 a.m. after 11 p.m. on school nights. They can work more than 8 hours in a day or 30 hours in a week. They've even taken down all the restrictions from 14 and 15-year-olds. They've said that, if they've graduated high school or are enrolled in a virtual program, they don't have to worry about certain laws. But how many of them have graduated at 14 and 15 years old? Here in New York, we're just starting high school at around 14 or 15 years old. Right. So come on, stop already. What do you think about the laws being kind of eliminated to pick up the slack for the deportees?
Pastor Steph, it's like I said, we're in Florida and we can't get nothing right.
Wow.
We cannot get anything right. Listen, you're a parent. So why in the world would you think it's okay for your child, for your baby, to be working in somebody's field or somebody's factory, right. and you still on your bed sleeping?
Right.
It's 30 in the morning. You still in your bed sleeping, but your 14 or 15-year-old child got to be on a bus trying to go to a job, or you back to your bed sleeping, and then working after 11:30 at night. That don't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. What makes it right?
Absolutely.
In what universe does it make it right? These kids, let them have their childhood.
Right.
Let them have their childhood. Like you said, in New York, I got my working papers in 1980, and and at 15, I started working at, I don't know if you remember, TSS Stores on Linden Boulevard down there. That was my first job that they took out, Social Security and taxes from. So I worked there. I worked there after I worked there the summer, and then they let me work during school. So I worked there from 5 to about 10 at night. So even at 10, I'd find myself trying to stay awake in class because I had to be in school at 7 o'clock.
Right.
So even at that, your body is not equipped to deal with that sleep deprivation, all of that extra hours that you're up and not watching TV, but you are working. With shelves, it's a whole nother life that you're adding onto yourself. What?
Absolutely.
So what makes it fair? We just
Right.
cannot get it right. You know why? Because somebody said it sounded good. Somebody said, yeah, let out get. Now listen, how many parents are gonna fall for that okie doke?
Right.
That's the
Right.
other question. How many
Right.
parents are gonna let
Right.
their kids for a few dollars?
Right. Right.
Listen, and
Right.
how much difference is them few dollars going to make? You
That's
know,
right. In the grand scheme of
in
things.
the grand
Absolutely,
scheme of
Pastor
things,
Vinny.
how much is
That's
that
right.
going to change their life?
That's right.
You know,
That's right. That's
you
right.
know,
That's right.
no,
That's
because
right.
now that kid
That's
is
right.
worried about some dollars and not worried about
Right.
that schoolwork.
That's right. That's right, Pastor Vinny, which is a really good point. Very good point. Where's our Pastor KL? So we can hear from him. We got some videos that are on the horizon, and I can't wait to talk about it today. So let's talk to our Pastor KL. Hey, Shantice,
Hey,
I asked for Pastor KL.
That is me, and he is me. And I think I
it's an upgrade. We got to upgrade, Pastor Steph.
I don't know. I think Pastor KL fell off. Oh, wait.
No, he's here.
He just came back on. He's trying to
Okay.
He's trying
All
to
right,
trick us.
we're gonna
He's trying
start
to
talking.
get rid of you.
Yeah, I see, and he talking about we got to upgrade. The devil is alive.
All right, Shantice, I'm going to reserve you for our videos because I got to hear what you got to say for our videos.
Yes.
We're going to catch Pastor KL here. Good morning, Pastor KL.
Good morning. I'm so saddened by my brother, but okay. Good morning.
Good
morning, my brother.
Good morning. All righty.
You know I love you.
We've got the Diddy. We talked about this before. Now they have upgraded this thing where they're not going to be allowed at all. Up to 55 accusers have come through as John and Jane Doe. And the judge says, absolutely not. You either put your name up or you get your case dropped. What say you?
I'm in total agreement. I mean, I'm tired of these phantom people. You know, you throw your rock and hide your hand. So if he did all this stuff to you, then just come on out. Be clean. Listen, when you get that money, you don't care who know. So why are you hiding now? You know, we hiding now, but when we get that money, we gonna be out there shining bright like a diamond. And how much, all these folks coming out of here, how much money you think y'all think this man still got? By the time y'all finish, y'all all gonna get $2.
Yep. It's true. It's very true. Very true. We got the case of the child labor law out in Florida, where they have taken everything off the table. Children can work in school while school is in session. They can work as early as 6:30 in the morning to up to 11 p.m. at night. They can work up to 8 hours a day, 30 hours a week. 14 and 15-year-olds, they've pulled the rules off the table because they are trying to make up for all of the lost employees that have now been deported over to El Salvador and all of their countries. What do you think about this child labor law that's taken such a major shift?
Well, two things. You're promoting runaways and you're promoting dropouts. Because I remember in my former days, all I wanted to do was leave my mama's house and get a job.
Right.
That's all I wanted to do.
Right.
So now I can get a job without having to do homework, and I can leave my mama's house. Yeah,
right.
You're promoting all of this. We are already dumb as a people. We're going to be dumber with $2.
Yep. And like Pastor Vinny said, you know, how many parents are going to fall for the okie doke and let their kids work? And now the kids are going to get a taste of that money in their mouth, in their hand. And now they're going to go buck wild because now they have been allowed to get a job.
Well, not only that, look at the parents who are really not parents and who are struggling themselves. They're going to send their children out there so they can help pay a bill.
That's right. That's right. Woo! All righty. We've got some videos that we're going to show. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I'm giving the sequence that I want the videos to go in. So we're going to give Shantice an opportunity as I give this segue. You know, unfortunately, it kind of like in the same vein we're talking about here. You know, once one person do it, it just catches on. You know, so like you said, Pastor KL, Pastor Vinny, you know, you get some of these parents who are gonna now need the help, could use the help, and now the kids, you know, they're gonna be up for grabs. You know, they're gonna help them fill out some applications to get a job. Well, unfortunately, the church is a monkey see, monkey do. Whatever the phase is, whatever the thing is going on out here, the church adopts it. It just never seems to be where the church takes a stand and says, we're going to separate ourselves from the world. And I got some videos that I came across, and I was like, really, y'all? Really? Shantice, you can let us know when you're ready. I gave you the first video that I'd like for you to put up. Thank you so much. The first video is ready. You can play the next one, Shantice. You can play the next video.
Wow.
Okay, you can play the next video, Shantice. I've got a few. I've got her playing a few before we comment. Pastor Vinny, Pastor KL, our viewers. Ooh, child. I got my moonshine, Pastor Vinny. Okay, Shantice. Join us, Shantice. Please. Good morning. Thank you for playing those videos. I got 2 more videos that I want to play after we talk about this. But Pastor Vinny, I'm going to give you first dibs at this one. Where them fans at? Put the boots on the ground, Pastor Vinny.
I want to tell you, this is no lie. Pastor Brenda and I were just talking about this. Because she asked me, have I heard about this boots on the ground business? I said no. So she showed me a clip, and I said, oh, so that's going to take away replace the electric slide? she said, oh no, this has a life all its own. But even the lyrics, moonshine and whiskey, I mean, and one, it looked like they moved the pews out so they can have the dance floor. I mean, this is, I shouldn't say unbelievable, because too often we follow the crowd. We don't set the standard. We do not set the standard. We're too busy with our moonshine to say stop. Stop, listen, smell the coffee. This ain't right. Because now they look at it and say, oh yeah, we do that in church. You know what? It reminds me of Kirk Franklin when he had Stomp. They said they were playing Stomp in the clubs.
Yeah.
They were playing Stomp in the club. In the club.
Right.
Well, I don't go to the clubs, but this is some more of that foolishness.
Woo!
We can't get a break.
No. And I showed you several videos for a reason. Shantice, what say you?
There are a whole lot of hymns that get played in the club, Pastor Vinny.
Yeah.
A whole lot. You sipping on your drink, and then you hear what you gonna hear in Sabbath school the next morning, or in Sunday school, and it just throws you all off course. It does.
Yeah.
But we always just gotta take it, because at first when I first started seeing the video, I was like, oh, okay, they're doing a little line dance. But then I'm like, wait, is this during service? And then I'm like, what? Did I just hear the lyrics correctly? So we're in service in the church building, dancing to drinking to moonshine, which that's way before my time. But I guess that was the Henny of the 1900s, the early 1900s. I don't know. I don't know, but I'm just like.
Did she say 1900?
Yeah, she did. She sure did.
I'm sorry. I've been hanging around my niece too long. She thinks everyone older than me is from the early 1900s. And then I'm looking at the behind shaking, and all of them, I'm like, well, wait a minute. This is in the church building. And I've been saying for a while, especially on social media, everyone has these challenges, these dance challenges going on, and the church folk is just right along with it. No, I have yet to see a Christian challenge like memorize this verse, or what's the lyrics, what's the rest of the lyrics to this gospel song, or anything like that. No, we always have to follow what the world is doing, and it's like, but why? And then it's not even like we're following something secular, but you wouldn't really know if it was bad or not because there are no profane lyrics or anything like that.
Right.
It always has to be to where they talking about sex and or drinking. So it's like, are you not listening to the words? And we have to really get our kids in the habit of that. Because I know my niece, of course, these Gen Zs and alphas, all these TikTok dances and challenges. And she taught me a TikTok dance until I started listening to the lyrics, and I'm like, oh, we will not be learning the rest of these steps because are you listening? I don't even pay attention to the lyrics because this is way beyond what you need to be comprehending. But yeah, it's come on, we got to do better. We have to do better as the body of Christ. This is crazy.
Oh, Pastor KL, where them fans at?
This has just got outlandish. I mean, but if you've been in church as long as some of us have been in church, there's been so many subliminal music going on.
For the 1900s.
Yeah. I'm from 1889. I just was right before the 19. But I used to hear the musicians playing Somebody Rockin' Knockin' the Boots during the the processional. I mean, they play all type of stuff. You know what I mean? And it's like they just sneak it in and sneak it out and go back to the church. Go back to the church with them, and then come back with a Luther Vandross song. They come back in. I mean, but they've been doing this for years. For years. Now they get out there, they outlandish about it. I mean, when you hear the lyrics, I hope you have good knees. Really? Really? What are we bending down to pray? You want me to have good knees? And then listen, no offense to the older generation, but that third video, there were people that was 200 years old with fans. 200. They need to sit down.
200.
Yeah, they need to sit down somewhere and fan themselves because they're going through the change. I don't understand it.
When I've had multiple layers of this same song because I want people to understand it ain't just one church doing it. It's not just one age group doing it. It's not a piece of the song that's being done. When we watch a larger group dance to the lyrics of gonna drink my moonshine, and I hope your knees, I hope you got good knees because whatever the dance movement, whatever the call to the dance is gonna be. The lady with the processional, I was like, wait, that's what I want to play first. But the processional, like you said, this old lady with this fan, I'm like, yo, go. I felt the same. I was like, go sit down with your old self with this where the fans at. And then you wait. Then the thing that made me laugh was in the processional, they had the nerve to be dressed in uniform. They had they were dressed uniformly. And I'm like, you went through all of this. And then you got the people in the congregation watching this. And, they're like, you saw one of the men, he was in the front, he was doing this little clap. And I remember what Pastor Gail was talking about. I've been in some concerts, in some church services, and then you hear the musicians slide something R&B-ish in. And you look at one another, you be like, really, y'all? Because y'all know these things. Y'all know the old people don't know these songs.
That is horrible.
Yes, and then they, like Pastor KL said, they come back and they play, like a little a church.
Rugged cross.
Yeah. And then they go back and they keep sweating. Really, y'all? Because it would make me laugh because a lot of the musicians are just that. They're musicians. They're not, like church people. They're hired, and they would, that's what they do. They just play. So for them, when y'all do over there doing whatever y'all doing, they just jamming. They do what they do. So. When I saw this, when this came across last night, I was like, no, please, this is up church. For me, it was only a matter of time before it came in the church. Now here's the thing. I'll play the next video. And the question comes, well, where's the pastors? I want to play this entire video, Shanti. Do not cut it. Let it play equal duration. But here's the question as to where are the pastors? Play it, Shanti, for us, please.
Y'all out of order. Don't put him in that mess. It's giving the club. It's giving Saturday night. And y'all pastors thought this was a good idea. Y'all mean to tell me he really put this on y'all heart to remix? God ain't in that mess. It's giving juke joint. And look at her with that fan.
I'm different. And I love being different.
More like worldly.
You can talk about me. You can run. I don't care.
Y'all talking because you out of
I
order.
used to care about what people say about me. Don't care no more.
We can tell playing the juke joint music in the church.
Woo! Pastor Vinny, where those pastors at? Oh, where the pastors at? Oh, where the pastors at? Where?
Well, that's the problem. He don't care what nobody thinks about him. Well, maybe he should care. Maybe he should care what people are seeing and what people are saying. Because I don't care, back in my early, I've been in choirs and praise teams all my life. Let me say all my life, over 50 years, 60 years.
1900 is a little more years.
I was hoping you wouldn't leave that open, Pastor Vinny. I was hoping you would leave that
my
open.
brother Bone. I throw my brother Bone every so often. We had one situation where the director would take all the worldly songs and try to make it Christian-like. Jesus is love, I know. He add a little Lionel Richie to the song and add a little, something to a Kool in the Gang song, or even change the words to Earth, Wind, and Fire. But you know what the song is. You know what the song is. You know what the original song is. So you singing it, but they still thinking about Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Right.
So stop. So I'm like I said, my all my sons, they're musicians, and they're in churches. One son plays for an Orthodox church, and kind of everything, Episcopal church, everything goes, from the wine, communion, to the, as they break bread every Sunday, and, but it's more prevalent than we would think. And as Pastor Kale said, with these messages within the message, no, it's blatant now. Now it's just out there, and they don't. And like my big brother said, the big pastor said, he don't care what nobody thinks about him.
Absolutely.
He don't care.
Pastor KL, Pastor Vinny says he don't care.
Well, so two things. Is an attraction and a distraction. The commentator was highly upset because you could tell that she was from the older generation.
Yeah.
And this was just not what she was pleased with. But some of these folks want the young folks in, and that's attraction. You know what I mean? Just like Pastor Vinny said that his son plays for an Orthodox church where they drink every Sunday. if that's not an attraction for an alcoholic, you know what I mean? I don't hear nothing you say. Where's the wine? You know what I mean? I'm ready to listen. I'm ready to repent, Jesus. Bring on the wine. Bring it on. You know, so you got to know what the attractions are. You know, people do things for different reasons, and pastors, just because they have the title pastor, does not mean they're leading the flock.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I can get a lot of young, listen, do you know how many fans was probably sold? You got retail places sold out of fans. You know, because of this nonsense right here. You know, everybody going out to get boots and fans. You know what I mean? So this is the thing. Retail is loving us. Wow. You know, and now we running out to get our boots and our fans to go to church. Church. We're not worried about the dress. We're not worried about the suit. Child, this fan got to be matching this outfit. Now, when you got a fan to match your outfit, you done gone too far.
You said something.
Right. Or that fan got a snap, you know, because where that fan snap. If it ain't got that snap, I can't buy it. And I can only imagine the retailers putting in the description, you know, perfect for boots on the ground. You know, you never know. You never ever know. We got a couple of comments before we go any further. It says these new folks, Serge says these new folks don't want to be left behind in this world. Views added church, and it doesn't change the origin of the song. Absolutely, Serge. That's exactly what Pastor Vinny was saying. You put all these lyrics to the R&B song just because you changed like these people did. You know what you singing. You got, you know, thing in your brain. You got Earth, Wind, and Fire. You got Boots on the Ground in your I put my trust in the Lord. Stop. Oh my God. Stop. Athena says, greetings, Pastor Steph. People who call themselves Christians have gone too far. In some of these, there is no order, and that's why a lot of people are leaving churches. It's blasphemy and utter foolishness. People are seeking healing and direction. You have to be careful of the place of worship that you seek out. It's true. If it's not a Bible-believing church and a church that's going to really hold up to the standards, you don't have to bring God down. You need to lift people up to God. You don't bring people down. Anika says more like worldly. Absolutely. Shantice, I put my trust in the Lord. I should have my fan this morning.
One of the things that come to mind is that has to be in like the southern churches, because in the city, by the time they laughed you off the stage and got Sam Manson to come and tap dance you into humiliation, you would have never wanted to be up at any pulpit or on any praise and worship team ever again in your life. You wouldn't care what God said he had for you to do. No. This is like a different type of tacky. And it's so, again, it's so sad because it's like, it's almost like, and he said this, so I can say this publicly. It's almost like when AJ was on and he was saying how out of place he felt whenever he tried to go somewhere that he didn't belong. And I've been with him in like certain, not like even club settings, but just like, oh, you know, we going to this barbecue and they may be playing secular music. And you could tell he don't listen to anything secular really. Because it just looked like, take him to the nearest church quick. Because he was so like, oh my gosh. And anyone who knows him knows he is nowhere near stuffy. He is nowhere near corny. But it's just like, you could just tell, like, this is not his scene. That's what this looks like. It looked like a bunch of people who are so whacked in the world that they're trying to be hip. And it's like, no, just it like when old Auntie Pearl try to come out and dance on the dance floor at the birthday party, and you like, Auntie Pearl, no, this is not, no, we're not playing the Supremes. This is DMX. No, you can't dance like that to DMX. That's what it looks like. Like, you trying too hard. Like Serge just said, you're trying too hard to fit in. And we're supposed to be peculiar people. We're supposed to stand apart. We're supposed to look weird to the world because we're not trying to fit in with the world. We're supposed to be content with the standards God has for us so that they can now start being attracted to what we're doing in God. But the more we try to fit in with the world, the more tacky we look. And I'm just trying to picture myself sitting in the congregation. We talking about, I put my trust in the Lord. No, you don't. No, you do not. Because the Lord did not tell you to come up here and make a fool out of yourself. Because this is just what? No.
Oh my
there goes,
gosh.
as Pastor K.O. said, there goes the focus on the Lord and the church and all that. Because now I know me and my people, everything is about jokes now. So now we getting in trouble because we laughing. None of us know how to laugh discreetly. It's now Pastor Steph is mumbling under her breath with her teeth gritting, like you better cut it out and all that. See, now everybody gotta repent because you want to get up here and try to fit in. Stop. You have now become a stumbling block. The Bible talks about that. You are helping me fall. So yeah. we have to stop. We have to stop trying to fit in because God is allowing us to see that we don't. And I'm pretty sure they didn't realize how they look until they look back at this footage. Now they mad at whoever posted this. And whoever was doing the commentary, she is hilarious. She needs to be hired to do this everywhere.
Okay. All right. So, we're talking about boots on the ground and win them fans and how that has now gone into the church. I want to show you some other praise dancing and worship and praise delivery. I know this was your church, Pastor Vinny.
I just threw up my banana. I'll never eat another banana in life.
What did you say when they showed up on at the church service?
Where y'all think y'all going? Where do y'all think y'all going looking like that? No. They would not make it to the first step to go on the platform. No. No. Come on, you don't have no self-respect. You know, I mean, I know there's entertainment, but that's not it. That is not it. That is not going to encourage anybody to get closer to the Lord. That's not going to encourage anybody, to desire to change themselves. But if I got to change into that, I'm not going. I'm not changing.
Wow. Shantice.
This reminds me of Steve Harvey episode when I think Levita had on the wig or something happened, and Cedric was trying to say who she looked like, and he said, "You look like you've been rolling down the river with Ike." Like, again, you just setting me up for failure.
Yes.
Because after the loud laugh comes out, I want to know who thought to have backup dancers in church. Who sat with their tea and crumpets and said, "You know what we should do"? I'm gonna tell you how we gonna make this song hit. You got your black, all right? Because what we gonna do? Go call Keisha and tell her to get her black ready. Cause we just thought of this song that we could do. And wait, my homegirl, she makes pants. Yeah, go get her to make your pants. And I got this body. No, remember that bodysuit? Yes, the one you wore to the club last night. Yes, and get that. And we're gonna go up there and we're gonna sing this song. Like, what? What are you doing? Then y'all try again. You don't even know how to fit in. See, so this just shows again, Sam and Sims, they wouldn't have made it at the Apollo. The steps weren't even in place. And because it wasn't supposed to be. Because God is not gonna allow you to think you really doing this, and you're not. You look crazy. The wig look horrible. It's like, what is happening? Who thought you would get sat down just because you thought of this? Just because it was an idea. You would get sat down. I completely agree with Pastor Vinny. Where were the powers that be in that church that saw y'all walking to the front? Because you didn't pop about the pulpit. It don't look like you have it. It don't look like you have an underground like they have at the concert arenas that make you come up from the ground. You had to walk up there, so you made it, and that congregation needs to be ashamed of themselves. Because again, by the time you would have walked down that aisle, the snickering and the laughs and stuff you would have heard would have made you sit on down before you got up there. This is it's amazing. It's amazing how this even makes it to video.
Yeah. Wait, Serge says, for real, what in the Tina Turner? He said, what in the Tina Turner is going on with that dress?
It wasn't a dress, see? They were pants. See?
Pants. They were pants.
They were pants. Horrible.
They were joggers.
Yeah.
They were joggers.
From Sheen. From Sheen.
Yeah.
Pastor KL.
All I can say is ushers close the door. Close the door, ushers. That would have been an ushers close the door moment. You know what I mean? I just don't understand it. All she needed to do was twerk. That's all she needed to do. I mean, she showed her side hip and everything, and I mean, she had some moves. But what people don't understand, we ask where the pastors is, but now the pastors got to clean this stuff up. You know what I mean? Because everybody in your church ain't saved. So some of them little boys, they're enjoying the show because all they see is booty. They don't see the word. All they see is booty. So they enjoy that. Then the little girls think this is what we can do at church. It's fun at church, But now you, as the pastor, you got to clean all this up. You got to explain that this is not what we do. But before you had to clean it up, you should have shut it down.
Exactly.
When you saw them in the vestibule coming up, you should have said, "Hey." Right. I remember back in the days we would be a little miffed because we didn't the women didn't wear no clothes under the robe. And that was the big talk. But now you coming out there looking like this, exposed? No, it's too much work, and it's out of order.
Oh my goodness gracious. My dude Tom Crew, you never fail us. Thank you so much for your contribution into today's conversation, and we pray you have a blessed day. Thank you, Shantice, for our videos.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Great job, Shantice.
Awesome job.
Play them fans, girl. Hey, we put our trust in the Lord. Trying to pull up my thing here. Wait. It don't want to work. It's trying to find the fans. Wait, it's trying to find the fans. All right, hold on 1 second. Let me see if I can. There's one that I wanna say. Therefore, my beloved brothers, be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that in the Lord your labor is not in vain. 1 Corinthians 15:58. Two things came to my mind. I come from a very conservative grandmother. Straight old school. She was the anthems, the spirituals. I mean, we were really given like a different level of music in our congregation, because that's what she was about. And her thing was excellence, gospel music and all of that stuff. She was that wasn't happening in the church. And I have an aunt. We call her Auntie Pam. You'll hear me talk about Auntie Pam periodically. We were talking about I think Women's Day or something, and we were rehearsing. And it got to the processional. So Auntie Pam, she's introducing. Auntie Pam always gave us the contemporary, and even that contemporary wasn't like what they used to call foot stomping. And she gave us, some Brooklyn Tabernacle and things like that. That was our contemporary. So my grandmother, she heard the song, and we were all lined up. She says, for us to walk in. So I guess based on the song, it had a little beat to it. So Auntie Pam says, well, can we, march? One step. What's minor? Because Auntie Pam knew what grandma, did. She knew what grandma liked. She knew what grandma didn't like, but she wanted to stay with the times. And again, it was not no Kirk Franklin and all of that. It was just a nice step. She said, well, can we do, just a step? My grandma said, no, we will walk. I hollered. She was not going for it as simplistic as the nice, step. Because all she knew was when she looked, you were going to be doing this. It was not having it. So she gave you no room for that level of growth where it may have started, a nice little conservative, and then it went into this, hey, it's like, no, let me cut this out right now. And that's the way I grew up. Auntie Pam was the one who gave us all of our contemporary stuff. And, but we were well-rounded. And to this day, I like anthems and spirituals. I like those songs. And coming from a musical family, you learn to, appreciate the different levels and types of music. But you stayed focused. You stayed focused on God. And that's what grandma wanted. She wanted you to stay focused on God and not give any room for you to step into the world, because that was her thing. Her thing was, you give you an inch, you going a mile, and when we look out, you be doing where them fans at. That's what her concern was. And here's where we are. Y'all done took the old schoolers' concern and y'all did it. Y'all done gone ahead and did it. Why? Like Pastor KL said, here's the thing. I'm not playing cleanup. Because it ain't happening. The other story I thought about was, my two girls, Shantice and her sister, they do praise and worship. We call it inspirational and praise. We don't call it praise and worship. And they sang a song one time, and I was in the back. It just happened to be in the back of the church, coming from the bathroom. And when I came out the bathroom, I heard this song and I heard the lyrics, and I was like, am I hearing right? I was livid, and I couldn't wait for them to finish. And at at my own admittance, I did not handle it properly. I was so upset. As soon as they finished, I was like, no, blah, 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 blah. I just went off. And I could have handled it better. I could have handled it better. But that was my initial shock and my response. And I was like, yo, what are you doing? Okay, so that's the last time I let you pick a song. And, one of the things that Shantice said was, Tamasia had finally picked a song, because Shantice normally picks the songs, or sometimes if I hear something, I'll throw it their way. And she was like, Tamasia finally picked a song. And to give her that room for inclusion and growth, they went with the song. They didn't think anything was wrong with the song. And was it the worst thing in the world? No. Could I have responded better? Absolutely. And even now, I apologize, Shantice. I'm so sorry. But to go along with what Pastor KL said, I'm not playing cleanup. From the beginning, these are the people who do your praise dancing. These are the people that do, your worship and praise. These are the people that do your musical presentations in your service. Where are you? Because that there, unfortunately, you couldn't quite see her attire. You only saw her bad dance moves that was strictly for the club. But if you had seen her attire, the pants was straight club, had all kinds. I can't think of it. It's like, when you wear like a cowboy jacket and it has those ruffles on it, curtains have them. and as you're moving, and she's not thin. So you like Pastor KL said, she turned and you saw her hip and all of this, and you're moving like you're in the club. This is no presentation for God's house. And this would have been one time where I would have stood up and I would have waved to, please cut that music off. Have a seat. Have a seat. We're not doing that. Sometimes you've got to make a stand. You've got to, which that's the story about my grandmother. At the time when we were in rehearsal, she was like, don't even think about it. Don't even think about it. You have a responsibility as the leader to make sure that the presentations that come across are pleasing to God. Unless you're going to do it all. Or either you're going to just do it all. Everybody going to sit down and you're going to do it all. You have a responsibility as the leader to keep your finger on the pulse of what is presented in that worship service. And I can't imagine being a leader and I put my trust in the Lord. Where's the example? Y'all literally took part of a song that is done in the secular world and you sang it as it's sung in the secular world. And you took a piece of the song and you substituted the words. I put my trust in the Lord. Well, if you really put your trust in the Lord, you don't have to use something that has already been given to the enemy. These songs were designed to give to the world. What you do house, I don't care. That's between you and God. Nobody knows, nobody hears, nobody sees. What you do in public, where other people are seeing. And now you're giving inference and a stamp on the fact that this stuff is okay. As Pastor KL said, you got young people watching, you got the little girls watching, you got the little boys watching. How do you turn people around now? Because if you don't stop it, you are literally saying it's okay. And once you say it's okay, then now everybody else will think it's okay and they will follow suit. Now, who's responsible for that? We have a large responsibility as pastors. This is not, I keep saying this ain't no job you raise your hand for, because you have no room for big mistakes. You don't. You don't. You don't have room to let stuff like this go on. You surely don't have room to be the one at the microphone talking about, I don't care what people say. That's between you and God. What is God going to say? What is God going to say? You know, the woman who was commentating, she was, every comment she made was correct. And we have a responsibility to God's people to make sure we make presentations, or whatever presentation that comes up into the front of that church. You had people having a processional. They are marching in where them fans at. This was okay. And my thing is, the processional, I would have been sitting up front, and I would have been like, no music. Y'all go have a seat. Thank you very much. And my thing is, you can't be afraid. You cannot be afraid to make these type of moves when things are wrong, because people have to see. I don't care nothing about no what do you call it? No guest in the room. That's exactly why I would make sure to correct it. No, have a seat. We're not doing that. That's not something that we do here. We're not bringing the world into the church. We're supposed to bring the world into the church on a whole different level. So you know what? For us pastors, for ministers, we have a job to do. We have an evangelist. We have a job to do. And we have to make sure that God is pleased with what we're doing. Because when we don't do it properly, this is on our hands. The blood is on our hands. The Bible says that we need to preach the word of God, teach in season and out of season. And if my thing is, if you have already been teaching what you're supposed to be teaching, those girls, those 3 women would not have been comfortable shaking. I mean, even the Shanti's put it so perfectly, the backup dancers, because that's exactly who they were. They were the backup dancers. Their moves and everything said club. Their moves and everything said performance stage. And we have to make the distinction that when people come into the house of God, it is not a performance for them. It is a presentation unto the Lord. Let's make sure we do not intermingle the two. You've been watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Join us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. where we discuss matters of the heart, mind, and spirit. As you go through your day, be sure to set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on the earth. They will only serve as a distraction. Remember, prayer changes things. It's Pastor Steph signing off, and I want to thank my Due Time crew for always coming through big time. Thank you for holding down that chat room and helping us keep this conversation alive. Please do not miss the opportunity to give Christ your life right now. Please do not miss the opportunity to strengthen that relationship with the Lord right now, because later is not promised to any of us. Please make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell so you will be alerted each and every time a ministry goes up on this channel. Please make sure you share, like, and just really promote this channel. If you love it and you're on every day, tell a friend, let everybody know that It's Due Time with Pastor Steph is on. Okay, catch us on Instagram, Coach for Christian Life. Catch me on TikTok, Coach for Christian Life. And make sure you send me videos. If you think that this is something that you want us to talk about, make sure you send it to me. I'm open. Thank you so much for being with us today. Until tomorrow, God spares, where it's Wow Wednesday. Until then, I love you.